The AgWeek Dry Bean Tour is brought to you by the North Harvest Bean Growers Association.
The first stop this week on our dry bean tour takes us to southeast North Dakota, where the black bean harvest looks average. That may be due to weed pressure.
Dry edible bean harvest is wrapping up for Rudy Dotzenrod, who grows 800 acres of black beans on his farm near Windermere, North Dakota. While this year's harvest is a bit later than usual, harvest conditions have been good.
The weather's been great, so combining conditions have been good. At least we're not playing in the mud.
Like many areas across much of the region, the delayed harvest is a result of a late planting season because of rain and wet conditions. Dotzenrod says he wasn't able to start planting his black beans until June 7th, finishing around June 10th, later than usual.
So it was kind of a mad dash at the end to get everything in, but we got it in. And
Dotzenrod says this year's crop has been average.
There's been some really good, but then we got one field that's really bad too.
Dotzenrod says he's dealing with worse weed pressure than he's seen in the past.
All the fields I thought looked really good, very clean, and then somewhere that last week of July, first week of August, you could see these weeds starting to poke above the canopy, and then every week they just kept on growing, bigger and bigger and bigger.
The high amount of weeds is causing yield loss, and he thinks one field in particular will need some time to recover.
It's a significant loss, and we'll have to do something with chemical and rotation. I don't think we'll be able to have dry beans on that field for at least 5 years. We'll have to go to some other crops and different chemical chemistries and try to clean it up and then try again, I guess.
Because of the large amount of weeds in the last field he has to harvest, Dotzenrod looks to start combining his soybeans and then come back and finish up his black beans.
We'll just get the combine ready and try to get this thing finished up here sooner than later.
For our next stop on the dry bean tour, it's in southwestern Minnesota. Ariana Schumacher checks in on the black bean crop.
Dan Oden grows corn, soybeans, and black beans, and raises hogs on his farm in west central Minnesota. He says this year he's seen a lot more variability in his black bean crop than normal.
Just really a lot of variability in maturity, and that's probably the biggest thing.
A hailstorm in mid-July caused severe damage to the black bean field you see behind me. Now they're dealing with weeds and a decreased crop yield.
And then we had a really bad hailstorm after we'd had lots and lots of rain, so it set the crop back a bit, and it's been kind of a struggle for weed control all year, so it's not a very pretty crop here in west central Minnesota.
The rain played a big factor in the weed issues.
We put down a earlier for pre-plant for weed control, and it didn't hold the best because of all the rain, and then we sprayed a couple of post applications, and cool weather during the spraying season that really tended to make the weeds not die very well. So quite a few escapes.
The hailstorm stripped the crop of its canopy, which provided the weeds with more space to grow.
So the weeds have had a party since then.
Diseases haven't been as big of an issue though.
A little bit of blight, but honestly the hail was pretty devastating, so the disease has been, there hasn't been a whole lot of canopy, so white mold really hasn't been such an issue.
The hail did set the bean crop back this year.
These were the first planted field that I had, but they're the last field to desiccate, just because the hail kind of kept them green longer than we would like. So yeah, it's been a struggle beginning to end.
Oden is already looking ahead to the next year.
I'm looking forward to next year. Be good to start with a clean slate.
In Raymond, Minnesota, this is Ariana Schumacher for AgWeek.
Oden hoped to get the field harvested in the beginning of October. This was the last stop on this year's dry bean tour. Thanks for watching AgweekTV on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe. We put out new videos every Saturday.